Hi guys, you're welcome to Web Technologies. We're still on Laravel for beginners. We're going to look at how to render a blog post in Laravel 5.4. Building on the blog template we created from the Bootstrap templates. We have a handful of posts in our database, so let's look at that. I'm going to run PHP Artisan Tinker. So I'm going to actually check for the posts database table rather, and we check all entries. Right there we have 3 posts, the title of the third post, another title Laravel Basic, and we have another title Development Series. Now we're going to actually make render of this particular post in the blog template we actually created from start. So I'll actually show you on how to do that. Now let's move to the index page of this particular blog template. We will get that in the resources, views, posts. We have the index.blade.php right there. So we have the dummy posts, whereby we have the post created earlier. Now I will quickly look at something. Let me launch my browser so that I'll be able to actually launch this application. Homestead app. So we have that. So we're actually going to make this dynamic. The content will be dynamic. The title as well will be dynamic. And also we have the timestamp, which will also be dynamic. So let's get started. Now back to my IDE. I'm going to actually do something quickly here. We have the dummy content right there. Now in the index method, we're going to actually move back to the controller, where we're going to get that from the app, HTTP controllers. I'm going to go to the post controller. So right there in the index method, I'm going to actually add something quickly here, whereby we're going to be able to call the posts. There's a sort of variable, and we assign it to post to get all content. Now it returns a view, but we need to pass the variable, whereby we run the compact. We should be familiar with this right now if you've been following the tutorial, which is posts. That's fine. Save that right there. So back to the index.blade. Now I'm going to actually modify this. If you should notice, I have the blog post from here to here, and I have another blog post from here to there. So I'll actually take away this because we'll be generating it dynamically. I'll take away the second one just this way. That's fine. And over here, I'm actually going to cut this out from here to there. Let me just do that quickly. I'll cut it out and save it in a new file which I'll be calling article.blade.php, and I'll actually include it this way. I have to run at include. Whereby it's going to be saved in the posts.article. Save that. Now I'm going to go to the views. In the posts, I create a new file called article.blade.php. Now I paste it right there. Do you get how it flows? So you're going to have it just that way. Now, for us to be able to render this view in the browser, we need to do some sort of modification, whereby we need to call the posts variable, just the way we have it this way. So we're going to actually go back to the, let me save this. We're going to go back to the index over here. I'm going to run a for each loop at for each. We'll have the variable posts as posts. And you end the for each. So this is actually going to be right inside there. At end for each. Just this way. Save that. So if we should go back to the browser, you'll notice that a refresh still maintains the content, so nothing has been broken. So let's start to call the title, the body, dynamically. So I move back to my text editor, and now we'll be going to the article.blade.php to actually make some amends, since we actually call this inside the index called post article. So we'll move to the article to make the amends. So right there in the title, instead of having the sample blog post, I need to populate this dynamically. I'm going to run something of this nature. I call the post. Since we've created a for loop, a for each loop rather, now I'm going to have the title passed in directly. You save that. Let's go back to the browser to check that out. Can you see we have the dot post as the title? We have Laravel basics, that's another title. We have development series as another title, which is the third title. Can you notice that? That's this just what we wanted. Now let's move on. We need to make amends right there in the body. Since we have our body, because we've actually created a body right in the database, now we need to call the body. So I'm actually going to take this out. The paragraph tag, which ends. Let me click to know where it ends. Okay, this ends there. Now it's going to take all content anyway, because I just have the div, and let me take all this out, and I'm going to actually post the body just this way. I'll run the posts. Body. So you save that out, come back to the browser, now refresh. Do you notice that we have the body, the top post for forms input? That's the first title. Another one, Laravel basics, full implementation. We have for the development series in Laravel. Back to our ID. So let's look at something quickly. If you notice the name of the author of this post, we don't need that now. We're actually going to be putting this in when we are doing authentication, and we'll be doing modification right there for the date and time. That's fine. So we're actually going to undo that now. So let's move back to our text editor. So let's take away this for the main time. And now the timestamp. If you notice, we actually created a field called created at. when we actually get created the table, and even if we should look at the app post, we have the field called created art and updated art. So we're actually going to be using this created art, which is actually the time stamp passed when you actually created this particular post. So let's move back. We'll be using that right inside the blog post metadata. Now I'm going to actually change this. I'm going to use this particular something of this nature post, and I'm going to call on the created art, and these we actually call on a specific format of date, which is so formatted date. Don't need the s there. String. Just this way, you have it set and ready. Now I'm going to display this, save it out, and go back to the browser. A refresh. I notice that means the first post, which is the third post, was created February 18th, 2017. We have another one, same day. We're all created in the same day, so that's why you have the same date, right sync. Now if you want to do something of this nature, probably you want to check for the first post when you run something of this nature, like /posts/1, you're actually going to get something different. But before that, let's make the title clickable, so that is actually going to point to the details of this particular post. So it's going to have a separate page for this post, and a separate page will be generated dynamically for the second post and the third post. So let's quickly do that. Now to make that clickable, we go back to the text editor, and we're going to wrap around the title, whereby we're going to run something of this nature. Let's run something of this nature. The a tag, href, and we call posts. Now we're going to pass in the identifier, which will be posts, the ID. Hope you're following. It's quite simple. So we have it just right there. Close out there. Now we don't need it to be wrapped around the h2 tag. So I'm going to have something of this nature. Just save that. So now let's go back to the browser. Can you see that we have it? We have the link displayed. We have the link displayed. So that's the link. So once you click on it, you're going to encounter an error because we've not actually created a page to undo this link, posts/1. So we quickly do that and make it clickable to a page. We're going to actually have that done in the route. So we're going to actually go back to the route, which is the web.php. Find it in the routes folder. Going to create a route. Route this way, route, and we're going to call the get method, which we're going to pass in start posts. Now we need a wildcard, which is actually having posts, and now this is actually going to point to the post controller. calling a method called show. Close this right there. Now let's go to the post controller and create that method called show. Quickly create that right there. So let me create it after the create. Just have it somewhere here. So we run public function show. So right inside the show, we're going to actually do something quickly, but we need a page to handle this particular show method. So we're going to call the page show.blade.php, and the page is actually going to sit inside the post. Let's create it inside the post. We have something called new file. About we're going to create a show.blade.php. I'll be right there, and we need to quickly do something here. Extends the layout, which is the master.blade.php. First of all, reference the layout, which is the folder that houses it, for reference master. Just this way, and a section, because we actually yielded section. Now we're going to override that, creating the content, just like that. And now we need to end section. That's fine. So now we're going to pass in a div class. So we're actually going to get that from the create.blade. This particular, because we need to give a column, because we're actually creating another layout. So we actually make it look alike like the layouts that we've had earlier. So back to the show blade. So let's paste that quickly. Now inside here, we should have a corresponding closing div. That's fine. So right inside there, we should have h1 tag, which will actually be the title. So we'll pass in the title. Inside here, we're going to call posts. Title. Just this way. Have the closing h1 tag. Now the body, we'll call it this way, calling the body post. Body. We save it, and we should actually make it work. But before going further, we need to go back to the post controller, because this is just empty. We actually need to show something. Now we first of all need to return the view, which is actually the posts that show, which is the show.blade. But we need to actually add something. An identifier must be passed into the show, because we need an ID to call that, passing an ID, and you have to do something of this nature. Must have a variable, because we need to run the compact. Posts equals to, call the posts mother, and we'll find based on the ID as a parameter, just like this. So right inside of view, we need to pass the compact, and we're going to call on the post. Just this way. Close that out. Save appropriately. Now we should do. We are ready to go. So we're going to actually test and run. Let's quickly do that. Now we're going to run something of this nature. /posts /1. Can you see we have the third post and the details? We have the title and the details. So let's move back to where we're coming from. So we should be able to click and also get us there, just the way we've created the href around it. Now for the Laravel basics, can you see that? Can you see we have actually generated this dynamically? The same thing goes for the development series. That's fine. Now we should be able to create a new post. Let's create a new post. Run the create. Okay, I think it's post /create. We don't have something of this nature. /create. That's fine. Now we have the title. Let's say rendering views. In the blog. So let's submit. Now if you notice, it actually populates. Can you see that? The rendering views in the blog, but it shouldn't be at the bottom. It should be around at the top, so that it's going to actually specify the new time, because you should notice the timestamp here. We have it as February 23rd, and that should be the first post created, or the first post to be displayed. So it should stay at the top. For us to actually make this dynamic or work the way we want, we go back to our editor and we act to make a change in the post controller, where we have the index, because that's the page that populates all posts. Where we have the post all method, we need to change this quickly and modify this to, let's modify it to latest, just this way, and get all latest, just like get all latest data. We run the get all latest data, so it passed out in the post, and be able to render it. So let's save it and let's refresh. Do you notice that the rendering views comes first, which is the latest post? So that's just how to make it, you know, to order it. It's just like order by the new date, you know, and it's going to be in a descending order. That's how to order your post right there in Laravel 5.4. So at least we've done a lot. We've actually learned a lot in this particular session right from the beginning. We talk about controllers, we talk about views, we talk about routes, you know, we talk about how to create a database, we talk about how to create a table, how to migrate a database. We've also talk about layout files, and we've talked about query builder, eloquent, you know, a lot of things we've actually looked into in this particular series. So don't go anywhere, we still have a lot in stock, and we're moving to another dimension, and we're actually going to learn a lot in Laravel programming. Thank you very much for hanging out with me throughout this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a blessed time. Bye bye.